Many thanks for joining us on CEMTV's Dissect on this beautiful day. It's another day for us to share our minds or meet minds and then share our concerns about the developments within Nigeria, Africa, and on the global stage. My name is Frank Sizoyimaedet, and I'm doing this with the adorable Barrister Kristen. Hello, Barrister.
Hi, Frances. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. I have a particular area of interest concerning what we're going to talk about this morning, especially the part where the retired military personnel don't get what is due. Don't laugh. My dad served for 35 years, retired, and though the drama is not that much in their own sector, but I am of the opinion that if you increase those in service, their salary at some point, you should also increase those that are retired, because they also went through the same rigorous process to protect Nigeria and the life of our citizens and also property. So what is good for the ganja is good for, some of the opinion that it should be fair. Go here. It's really bad when I see retirees on the street coming out for protest when they ought to be rested and well taken care of.
I totally understand your concern this morning, and we're going to get into that conversation in just a bit. But this morning, joining us to meet mine on this conversation is a guest who is joining us for the first time on CEMTV News Dissect. We'd like to welcome him officially to the set. His name is Benibo Da Olobo, rather. I hope I got that correct. Is a foreign policy and political analyst. Welcome to CEMTV Dissect.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
It's good to have you join us. I'd like to start on the soft conversation before we get into the hard ones. And like my colleague has already stated, yesterday, military veterans who have given 35 years in active service to protecting both internal and external sovereignty of Nigeria, who have been blessed to not pay the supreme price like some of their comrades who have fallen in battle, but they have made their contributions. 35 years to the Nigerian community, and yet upon retirement they are also exposed to the madness, I call it the madness of the Nigerian society. Because recently we've seen the hierarchies of the Nigerian military speaking about the increment in the military welfare package that was announced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, the expectations were that we are going to see the consequential adjustment and reflection on the pensions of those who have served the country, who deserve this adjustment without even having to lift the finger. But after that announcement was made, we've not seen that consequential adjustment being done. Hence, yesterday we saw, men and women of the security forces, the military now, coming out to protest the veterans. And ironically, the police and military personnel were deployed to prevent them from protesting until the Chief of Defense Staff now came out to speak on the matter and call for calm, stressing that he was going to deal with the matter. I would like to pick your mind on this.
Well, there are a lot of things currently in Nigeria that we seem to look at it like it's happening now, but repeatedly over the years, all these things have been happening.
Probably before even you and I was born. I could remember vividly in a lot of books I've read, and while I was doing my undergraduate course, I remember vividly how Shehu Shagari was ousted out of power. It was due to corruption, things like this. I think that was when we were having the oil boom era. We were making crazy money. We were not in debt. As at then, I think $1 to naira was it 50 kobo or so to $1, our exchange rate. But before we knew it, how do I explain this? Before we knew it, we started borrowing. They stopped importation of food. prices of food increased, and I think that was how Buhari even came into power as head of state. Then he ousted Shehu Shagari out of power. He first of all, and Shehu Shagari was one of his trusted allies in the military then. I think he sent him to fight a war at Chad or so border, and he performed very well. And after that war, he came back. He said there was too much corruption in the whole system, and the whole corruption during Shehu Shagari period, I think, should I say, was it that period that this whole cartel we usually talk about in Nigeria really took foothold of our, should I say, the whole Nigerian system. Then the transportation minister under Shehu Shagari, I think he's Igbo, I can't really remember his name. He was in charge of rice importation from when Shehu Shagari came into power. But why I'm just going down memory lane is sometimes we cry out, oh, this is happening, this is happening. And just as we always said, history always repeats itself. Most of these problems, I think, is like the way I usually say it, even in my own house. Like,
Okay.
I tell my late father, I tell my uncles that are now my father, I say the only way Nigeria will get better is when, starting from the nuclear family, everybody starts being accountable. Now let me give you an insight. The way we run Nigeria, more or less, is the way we run our homes. The father, or the father of the house, because he's the provider, he doesn't need to be accountable for the fact you're eating. You have roof over your head. Whatever he likes, he does. You don't need to question him. Is that same mentality that almost all our leaders have. They spend money just to get into power, and when they get into power, because they have spent money, they need to get it, so every other thing around them should suffer. So my take on it is, we need to do better. It's not just also complaining about the government or those in power.
Okay, so in the midst of all that has happened, given the opportunity to speak to the leadership of the Nigerian military and the government of Nigeria, looking into the fact that by the presidential announcement, the military welfare package has been increased. And by that same announcement, we are supposed to see, just like we saw during the minimum wage negotiation, the consequential adjustment reflecting even to the pension that people now get. For instance, remember, just after the consequential adjustment that we now had 70,000, eventually rising to about 77,000 in some aspect, we saw the consequential adjustment such that people who retired 20 years or 5, 10, 15 years ago, who were not getting anything significant, were now able to get something tangible that now reflects the current day reality and the purchasing power, what it should be able to a large extent, or to a small percentage, make a difference in their living condition. And it was expected we should see that happening. What would be your counsel to the leadership of the Nigerian military? I like the fact that one of the leader of the protest said it to the police personnel and the military personnel that came out to stop and said, today we are here, tomorrow you will retire and you will join us. So whatever you are doing, do it with the consciousness that whatever is being meted to us, one day you too will be a retired veteran and you join the faction.
Well, there's this saying in economic history, they say things are affected by the things they affect. Now, concerning me, maybe giving them an advice, one of the things I will strongly advise is they should, first of all, as military agents or paramilitary, the police, civil service, I believe almost all our paramilitary are now fully armed, if I'm not mistaken, because even immigration have started carrying arms about 10 years ago. So one thing I will tell them is, if they can stay out of politics, it will really help them, because most of all these issues now that are happening is because they have added themselves into the whole political game, you know, acting like another arm of government to the government, doing things that they were not meant to do. And for instance, I remember the scenario that happened sometime last year with the FCT minister, that young soldier that was on a piece of land. Yes. Now, yes, in a way, that issue is quite dicey. He was right. He's, as a military officer, he's obeying his superior. But land matters, especially within the country, it's actually a civil matter.
It is.
It's only when outside our borders that I think the military has more power than a civilian. Let me say, because the FCT minister more or less is like the civilian governor of the FCT, in quotes. But what I would just advise them, in my own, the moment they don't meddle in politics, I think they will boldly, because if nothing rubs your hand as bribe or anything, or if you don't do any dirty for any politician, you can always boldly come out and do your thing, or say your thing, or say what is not right, or get more or less what is duly meant for you.
I think I'm trying to understand it, but let's put this in perspective. These persons have served 35 years. Either they went to Zambezi forest, they went after terrorists, banditry, kidnapping, drug peddlers. They risked their life for the sake of you and I.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dispute the fact that some corrupt politicians use some of the military personnel, including police and the rest of it. That's aside. But can we, in our consciousness, give them what they deserve? Not every military personnel is corrupt.
Yes, true.
Not every politician is corrupt too.
Yes.
You get. So the case of the FCT minister and the military personnel, I mean, they both cross the line if you ask me.
Yes.
You as an FCT minister, you're insulting this person in a capacity where this person is obeying. And you know, it's obey before complain. So the both of them did what they did, and well, okay, we're done with that wrestling. That chapter is closed. But for people that have served, not 10 years, not 20, 35 years, have you taken out time to go see where this military personnel live? Life after military, it's penury. Life after retirement is penury. Some of them, they don't even get the adequate promotion they deserve while in service. So when it comes to pension, what they receive is peanuts. Why some person of the same grade with them are earning more than them? All of this should be put into perspective. So won't you think that it's right that even though they're out of service, they also encounter the same battle these younger ones are going through right now? So what is good for these young ones? It's good for the old ones.
Yes.
I don't, it's so disrespectful that I see people that have served Nigeria with all their life, their strength, put their life in harm's way, served for 35 years. They are now on the streets begging. If you go to state secretariat, including the teachers and other parastatals, you see pensioners, old men, old women in queue. I feel for them. That's why I say some persons will say, I won't do any pensionable job, be slavery. Let me just do my business and save up, and because I can't be doing this. So don't you think it's wise that we give them what they truly deserve, whether in service or not, because these people have served?
The truth is, like you mentioned now, some of them even before or while they were actively in service, promotions that were due. Now that is where all the politics that I'm saying comes into play. Because, for instance, you know that, let me use River State. You know that the whole River State battalions, I am next in command to command them. But because you know that I'm not loyal to you, maybe you're the state governor, I'm just using that as an example, you will go and promote somebody else or forcefully retire me that is meant to take over. So these are, like I said, that is why I said from the beginning that if they can stay away from see, everything in Nigeria is politicized. We cannot run away from that. Using our River State here as, should I say, number one example, is only Lagos. Even Lagos is politicized, but just that, should I say, they are doing it a little bit more civilized than other parts of the country. That is why development and things are always happening there more.
You think Lagos State is not politicized?
No, I know. Like I said, it's politicized, but how should I put it? It's not very. At least Lagos, you can walk up to some individuals that are looking for people to invest in startups. How many startups here, apart from Lagos, in any other part of the country, that keep politics aside, they invested in them?
Because Lagos has been built as a hub of business to start with. If we want to talk about politics, let's talk about our terminal, let's talk about our wharf, what's happening in River State.
Yeah.
So don't even say, because don't forget that Lagos control the hems of affair of other states to start with.
And the funny thing is, we have more wharfs, we have bigger waterways than Lagos.
So what are we saying?
Do you know that geographically River State is bigger than Lagos? Most people don't know that. They just feel because Lagos is overpopulated. Geographically, River State is way bigger. What is making Lagos even look big is, let me say, most of the islands that they are samfilling and building. Geographically, check out the landmass of Ogoni. Check out the landmass of Aoda, Abua. Just check, only the landmass of Ogoni and Abua, I think, might even be bigger than Lagos. Like the landmass, not Sanfield area. I don't want to start adding Bonny and some other Ogba, exactly. So it just boils down to politics. Like, it's pathetic that we are in this situation. And like I said, sometimes, I'm sorry to say this online, we saw what happened in Ghana and why Ghana are currently on the level where they are. It's not like they are totally that good. Actually, there is no country that is totally free from corruption.
True.
But we also saw what John Rawlings did in Ghana. He had to publicly execute a father figure on TV, on live TV. Because he told him all the money you have looted, that was his uncle that trained him in school. That was when all the police, some fled, some had to remit the monies that they have looted over the years. So in Nigeria now, if you have even checked most of the coup that has happened over the years, that they will term it ethnicity rivalry, that is it people that is a lie.
Politicized.
It's being politicized. Sometimes it's a Yoruba man that will support an Igbo man, do the whole dirties for him. Sometimes it's an Hausa man that will support an Igbo man. I don't want to start going into all those details. That is what I'm telling you.
All of those tribal sentiments are only sentiment used for the lily-livered and the little-minded. Because when you look at politicians, they don't know tribe.
At all.
They don't know religion. They don't know nothing. All of those sentiments don't come in when they are sharing our collective patrimony.
Exactly.
So it's a foolishness on the part of any Nigerian to allow any politician, so to say, to corrupt it, to think on the ethnic divide to now begin to ferment trouble. But let's go to the diaspora issue. Diaspora issues and Nigerian foreign affairs policy. Recently, one of the ambassadors serving Nigerians came back and met with Deborah Rewa, and of course, talking about the Nigerian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Yakubu Gambo. He disclosed that presently in Saudi Arabia and other countries of the world, Nigerians are still in prison despite serving their prison sentences for whatever crime it is they committed. And then he also highlighted that generally, when you look at Nigerians in diaspora, there are Nigerians in multiple countries who are not united. That there is no ground that you can say, oh, in this country, Nigerians are united. This is where Nigerians meet to have conversations towards their welfare, and the Nigerian embassy in that country is aware of this meeting and participates in these meetings to feel the pulse of Nigerians in these respective countries. And this has affected how Nigerians are coordinated in the diaspora. And then she further went on to advocate for the Nigerian government to consider creating a conducive environment in the different countries that we have representation that would allow for Nigerians to meet, to contribute, and to also be protected. Because take for instance what transpired in South Africa. If we had a united front, if we had an embassy that represented the presence of Nigeria and Nigerians were comfortable going there, some of the situations that have come out of South Africa would not have happened in the first place. So how do you rate a foreign policy that has not made room for the right kind of integration, conversation, and mobilization in the interest of the Nigerian individual or Nigerian diaspora, and then of course coming back to give back to Nigeria?
Well, let me just start with this very last statement you made, that them giving back to Nigeria. Are you aware that almost every year we have, statistically, I think they said we have over 17 million Nigerians in the diaspora, and they said, be it, let's say, in form of, in quotes, what we call black tax and all that, they remit roughly almost $22 million or so yearly. As at last year, it was $21.8 million. That means, as you and I, we are here now, maybe you know someone
taxes,
in the UK.
they're also paying theirs.
No, not taxes, like remitting to people here in Nigeria via transfers, different mobile apps and all that. Like, maybe you have a brother now in the UK, you tell him you need money, you need assistance. Like, those are the things they are calculating. Their parents are not feeling fine and all that. Now, for people remitting such amount, I think economically, first of all, they are doing good.
Okay.
Economically, they are also helping us here too in the country. Then secondly, now, for, I think, is it since under Goodluck Jonathan or before his administration or Yaradua, the diaspora people have been crying that how will they also cast their own votes, have a say
in what's happening
in what is happening in Nigeria.
Yeah.
What has the government done over that? As far as I'm concerned, nothing. So it's not just complaining, according to the Saudi Arabia High Commissioner. It's not just complaining that, oh, they are not united. And I think one of the countries in the whole world, or let me say like 3, that Nigerians are well represented and well, should I put, just as you said it, they have a meeting pot, should be UK number 1, Canada number 2, and maybe USA 3. And I think that is where heavily, if I should agree, they are heavily populated, especially in the United Kingdom. Yes, okay. Nigerians. And most of them even come back to do business. Personally, I know a couple of them that are even planning that the moment they become a citizen there, they are coming back fully to Nigeria to invest, do businesses. Despite the whole we saying yes, the country is not conducive, but they have those kind of plans. But my main question now is the current foreign policy of this current administration. I think is the 4 Ds, and one of the Ds is demography. They are targeting, I think that was why, since the president has been saying it, that we should try and stop this brain drain, like the youths always leaving the country
to a safer place.
Yes, to safer places. Now, he has that in his foreign policy. What have you offered these diaspora people? Have you told them, oh, okay,
since for now, let's assume in quotes, for now, we haven't made a way for you to, or even prior before election, you can test run a system whereby they can vote from abroad. You know, some of all these things, doing them is not rocket science. But in Nigeria, we just make them look like it's one big project. Because there are lots of doctors, nurses, name them engineers and all that. See now, from what now you're saying, I remember under Obasanjo tenure, I think he visited the United States about 9 times. After him, Yar'Adua, despite his short span as president, I think he also visited the United States about 4 or 3 times. I can't really remember. Goodluck visited 4 times. After Goodluck, Buhari visited, I think 4 times too. The only president that we have had since 1999 that have refused to visit the United States, he always sends his VP. He always sends Shetima, the vice president. So, and we all know that currently in the international politics, compared to before, when Nigeria was acting as a non-alignment, that means we are neither on the Eastern Bloc or on the Western Bloc. But right now, I think we have been more on the Western Bloc over the years. Almost all our presidents, why don't you go there? So there are some things that internationally, because international politics is somehow, just your body language while negotiating sends a signal. How you even talk, how you blink your eyes, how you even shake, it gives a signal. Now let me give you a typical example of that. I think when Barack Obama was president, he visited the UAE, and the then king, I think he bowed down also or shook him with 2 hands. I don't know if you know about the story, that the whole of America, they were mad at him that you're the most powerful man in the whole world. Why would you bow down? So that is how international foreign policy works. You mind how you talk, you mind how you even shake, you mind. So the president himself, to me, hasn't done much. It's not just about talking, like I said. It's not rocket science.
So in essence, you're saying the foreign policy doesn't favor those in diaspora.
They said it's part of their 4Ds, like I said. But to me, they haven't done anything to actually actualize, should I say, okay, let me use an example. Under Obasanjo, Nigeria was still operating as the big brother of Africa. Right now, can we still call ourselves the big brother of Africa? Some
persons still call us big brother. big brother Nigeria. What do you want me? But I'm looking forward to in Nigeria where traveling out is just be for leisure. I'm looking forward to Nigeria where everything I want is in my country. I'm just traveling for business. We don't need to take our heavy brains out of our country because of poverty, intimidation, and also limitation. Do you think there'll be a time where we'll have all of this in Nigeria? I'm not saying people cannot travel for education, of course, but if we have the education right, I mean, children of the elite won't believe in the country to start with. Our tight brains won't believe in the country. It's crazy. But do you think there'll be a time in Nigeria where we'll have all of this? Or maybe 50% of this?
Well, there was actually a time people were coming here to study.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. No, there is where I'm trying to help.
That's like ancient days. If you ask me,
That's ancient history.
That's ancient history. So I would just want to listen.
It's not that.
It's very deep. It's ancient. Please, brotherly.
I think it was even under Shehu Shagari that we had this bag, Ghana must go, that we also chased away the Ghanaians and some Indians then that were also teachers. I remember one of my late uncle, he told me an Indian was his teacher, and the Indian man was talking very fast. Then it's not like now that the world there's a lot of globalism. So almost everybody can imitate accents and
into
all
the
that.
global space, yeah.
So if we can be like that, when should I use the word, when we are not very exposed or conscious as we are now, I believe maybe with time, even me that is saying I believe, trust me, I no believe, but like I said, if before, just as they will tell you that when there is life, there is hope. If you lose all your fortunes, you can still get them back. I believe that, and that is why I brought the John Rawlings analogy.
Okay.
Because what is the major problem of Nigeria, like I said, is from the family. The moment everybody, see, there are some things, like even my people that I work with, I'll just tell them, this thing you're doing now, are you doing it that because it's not favoring you, or is the right thing to do? The moment it's just like in Japan now, in Japanese school. I don't know how well you keep up with things there. Do you know that they have a policy from kindergarten? They don't even rush to teach them all the spellings and all that. They teach them togetherness, looking out. As small as little as 3 years, 4 years old, they eat together.
From early age education?
Yes, from early age. They clean their classrooms together. They look out for each other. So imagine from that age, and they get to 10, they get used to it. I'm not saying there won't be any bad egg, and that is why, do you know that in Japan, they don't honk their car? They only honk when it's an emergency. So there are some things that it's the culture. If you start it early, just like Nelson Mandela said, that nobody was born naturally to hate. They teach people.
So it boils down to the home front.
Yes, to the home front. Like me, I will always say, Nigeria's problem, it's from the family. If we can see, I bet you, there are some times when I hang out with some persons, then I start appreciating the home training 20 years ago my parents gave me.
That at some point you thought your parents hated you.
I hated Even how you approach people, even how you talk to people, even so most times I tell people that Nigeria, it goes beyond praying, it goes beyond a lot of things. Like everybody needs to be, see, accountability is what will help Nigeria. When you see, I tell people that where you walk is where you eat. Even if you want to eat, you want to be a little bit corrupt, let me put in quotes, at least deliver what you're meant to deliver. In fact, over deliver. Because there's how you over deliver. People won't even look at in chop small money.
All right, still on this, I'd love to take you back to your statement where you say somebody, the then president in Ghana, did the execution of his uncle, and other corrupt politicians decided to go into their shell, or some of them came all out to be accountable. Now, given the fact that Nigeria is where we are today, how do you think we can actually change all of this and come back to the origin?
First of all,
do we need to execute?
No.
Do we need to chase them out?
No.
Power, absolute power corrupts. Money is sweet. But how then do we change Nigeria to what you and I dreaming of?
Do you know that like sometimes when I'm even in public places, people will be like, oh, me, I want jackpot, I won't go. And I make this particular statement. The UK, the USA, the Canada, name them, all over the world, those countries we are going, do you know that they almost passed through the same phase we are passing?
They did.
I think in the USA alone, their last civil war majorly that they fought, I think there was one particular day over 5 million people or so died. I can't really remember, but I know that millions of people died in one day. So they made sacrifices. Now, why I'm drawing to this point is, we have had lots of advocates, human rights activists, freedom fighters. I don't want to mention names, and I know why. That they have come out, oh, they are fighting for the Niger Delta, they are fighting for the oil-rich region, the people are dying, and I think the only two persons prominently now that are coming to my name that has really fought like that for their people and they died is Ken Saro-Wiwa and Isaac Boro.
I hear you.
Now, if we can have people that are really selfless, not the one when you come out that you want to fight or you want to do anything, they will take you to one side and then give you money or promise you. It's just like Renault now. Renault that was I'm really trying to avoid calling names.
Okay.
Not because there are lots of, and most times, and that is why I said home training comes in. Most times I ask myself, how does the children of these people feel that today your dad is saying something and the next day, see, if they are my parents, I'll be ashamed though. No, that is why I'm telling you that all these things starts with your integrity.
I hear.
What's like sometimes even me, I ask myself, okay, I'm criticizing this governor, I'm criticizing the president, oh, he's not doing this. If now I'm just sitting somewhere and they see that, oh, truly I'm making wave that is really affecting them, poll wise and every other wise, and bam, they just call me and put in some millions into my account, will I still be able to shout or will I reject it? So most times it starts with integrity. How many people have integrity? How many people will say their yes is their yes, their no is their no? So
how many will reject it?
Yes, how many will reject such offers? So see, like I would say, Nigeria problem, in those days growing up, let me give you now a simple example. We used to see the Hausas in quote as very honest. I don't know if any of you maybe witnessed that, as very honest. In those days when we are growing up, if an Hausa man, you're pricing something and he tells you kai gaskia, you know that gaskia is the last. And
or they use the word walai talai. That is correct.
Yes, walai talai. You understand? But now the houses now that we have in our own state here, Port Harcourt, let me use Port Harcourt now as an example. They have also joined.
They are the South houses. That's the word.
The ones that we used to encounter before. So you see that these things, like I said, over time, a lot has changed. A lot. Like, you can't say this used to be like this. Like, I remember my grandma, my late grandma, my maternal grandma, she told me once that back in the days, I think when Buhari took over power, military
regime,
that no matter who you are, if you're going to the bank, everybody is on the queue. You want to join the bus, everybody is on the queue. No matter who you are, you want to buy fuel in filling station, everybody is on the queue. So imagine if we can still practice some of those little things.
But we are not things in the bank.
not
Do you know that I've gone to the bank and I stood there?
Okay.
They just took someone in. He wants to see the manager, but they will tell me that network is disturbing for me to
that's
withdraw.
Because you didn't go to see the manager. You went to do your own bank transactions and you didn't require a manager. But let's move away. One thing you've highlighted, and that has been re-echoed across the board, is the question or the concern of family, the role of family. But moving away from family and taking it into the wider perspective, let's head into the middle belt. The question of home training, the place of religion and religious indoctrination has contributed significantly to some of the biggest problems we have in the world. And talking about the middle belt, the Israel, Iran, Lebanon, the Houthis and the Yemen and all of that, and some of the countries within the middle belt, the United Arab Emirates and the rest of them. In recent time, we've seen an escalation of war. The likes of Cyril Ramaphosa, who, by the way, is guilty of the same crime, is accusing the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of war crime and atrocities. He has committed worse against African nationals in South Africa. That's just an aside. But we'll start off with the doctrine itself. From Nigeria, I know I have Muslim friends, and I'm proud of those Muslim friends. And some of us who have Muslim friends can attest to the fact that the Holy Quran does not teach violence.
True.
But you go to Iran and you trace the history of Iran, for instance. They are responsible for the indoctrination, the radicalization of young minds that has resulted in the extremism that we see, the terrorism activities that we see across the world. As a matter of fact, history has it that the fanatism that we see from Europe, Asia, America to the Middle Belt and down to, or the Middle East rather, and now to Nigeria, the Sahel region, comes from Iran. Because these are the guys who are intentionally funding the training, the radicalization, the ammunitions, the recruitment, including child soldiers, into this fanatic movement. At the end of the day, terrorism and global security has been redefined because of the activities of just one country. But Israel rose and said, look, we have had enough. And how did that all begin? Because the Houthis crossed over to Israel, killed 1,000+, abducted some, and went away. And then Israel said, nobody is and has exclusive right to violence, and then retaliated. And today, everybody is claiming Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is the worst person. But for us to understand where it all started and where it got wrong, I'd like for us to listen to some of the outspoken imams speaking from the Muslim community, telling us what the Holy Quran teaches the Islam people, and the difference between what the Holy Quran teaches and what Iran stands for. Because it is in understanding this that people who are even sympathetic, if you recall recently, even in America, Americans were chanting death to America.
Yes.
Because of the radicalization that has been enshrined into even the institution. But let's listen to some of the imams speaking out of the Middle Belt.
It is following the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. It claims that it takes its rulings to kidnap and kill from the Quran. And that is all a lie. I have a religious obligation to oppose Hamas as a Muslim. Anything that is linked to the Muslim Brotherhood or Iran, I am against. Anything. Hamas says it speaks.
The problem that Palestine has, the Palestinians have with Israel, is not about borders. It's about existence. This we need to realize. If Israel was a Christian state, if it was a communist state, if it was any other state other than a Jewish state, this hatred would not be the way it is. It is the way it is because it's a Jewish state. It's not about feelings, it's about fact.
People can hate Israel all they like. However, I have a question. These group of 15 million Jews, they don't proselytize. They don't want you to become Jewish. For a very long time, did not have a government to defend them. Tyrants did everything possible to exterminate them, and they continue to not just exist, but thrive, and thrive better than the majority of the people around them. How do they do that? With all the challenges and all the wars. So if you believe that God has nothing to do with these people, and that they are the enemies of God, you should think again. Clearly, there's something between them and God. People
all only way to deal with this tribal mentality, 7th century mentality, Islamic jihadist mentality, barbarians, is to tell them violence is a dead end. You dare to kill a Jew, we are going to demolish you completely. You, your infrastructure, your religion, and your God on the top of it.
There we have it. People look at the reaction without first explaining the action. And we have clearly seen the Israelis were just on their own. The Israelis, the Israel Prime Minister, the people were on their own. They were not the big people who began the war. They were on their own. And all Benjamin Netanyahu has insisted that he is out to defend his people. What is your reaction?
Now, you remember before we even started, when I came here, I said we majorly right now we are no longer practicing non-alignment movement in Nigeria in our foreign policy. Right now we are more on the Western bloc, and so almost everything we do is being westernized, let me put it that way, including the media. Now, concerning this whole Middle East crisis, let me just give you an example. Let's say this landmass now where we are, let's say your forefathers bought it like far back as 4 or 5 centuries ago, and it has been in your generational name. And the people as at then your forefathers bought it from, or they inherited it from, whatever way they got it, the real inhabitants have migrated and they are scattered all over the whole world. And all of a sudden, due to, should I say, marginalization or hatred, the same hatred now that they were talking about, like what happened with Hitler and the Holocaust. I think then Winston Churchill now said they were going to give the Jews a place where they can call their home. Now, mind you, in the Bible, they are called Israelites. In modern day, they are called Israelis. Do you know why? But Egypt are still called the same Egyptians in the Bible. The same, even in the Quran. The same with modern day, what we call them. Reason being that Egypt has been in existence, that particular place where they are till now. I don't know whether you get my point. Now, Israel now wasn't really a state. There was no country as Israel. To me, it's a political arrangement, the current Israeli state we have. So
why do you say so?
Because it is. There was no country as Israel. It was after the World War. Like I said, what the likes of Albert Einstein, I think is the first name that just came to my head. It wasn't, they wanted him by all means. Because of that, he never visited the state of Israel until he died. He said he doesn't want to be part of them. What formed the current day Israel nation is called World Zionist Movement.
I read that.
World Zionist Movement. Now, they are still more or less the Jews all over the world that still control. Do you know that the whole banking system in the whole world is controlled by a Jewish family? The central bank, I think recently the Prime Minister of India has been traveling all around the world since this year started. He has visited China, US, name it, even Israel, even Iran. I don't know what exactly they are home for it, because I've been really trying to understand. But bottom line is recently that India wants to have a central bank too. If not, they have not been. Any country that has a central bank then has been adopted the international system of banking. And that international system of banking is actually being controlled by a Jewish family, the Rothschilds family, I think so. Now, where I'm trying to head with this is, on paper, it's like they are fighting them. But nobody, for something that you know that for years is your property, they now brought someone, they are encroaching on their land, and they didn't give you adequate compensation, there is no how continually people won't be having issues. Now, let me also give you an example. You know, this is not the very first fight that has been happening in the Middle East. It has been happening for God knows how long, for more than 60 or how many years. I think you must have heard of Yom Kippur War. I think about 1973 or so that happened. That war, if not for the intervention of the United States, they would have finished the current Israeli states now that we have. Is that war, the Yom Kippur, I think it means in Jew, it means something like Day of Atonement. It's like a day, even in the Bible, in the Old Testament, where they bait with hyssop. You know hyssop?
Hyssop.
Yeah. Came in, they say hyssop. I mean, the blood of Jesus replaced hyssop. But sorry, I'm not going into religion. Okay. But now, that was a day that they were so... I think how many countries attacked them that Yom Kippur War? I know that Syria was among, Jordan, Egypt, I can't remember, but they were up to 5 or 6 countries, 5 I think so, attacked them, and they were really on the offensive. Not until the United States, it's after that war now that you're seeing now most times on TV, on news, when they are showing Israelis, you see an average civilian always with a rifle. It was after that war that, even though they are praying, you know, they pray like the Muslims, 6 a.m. just like that, 12 and all that. And whenever they pray, initially they don't keep rifle beside them, or they just pray and forget. You've seen a core Muslim in Nigeria here praying now. You could literally be stealing his money, he won't answer you. That was how they were. But I think after that war, that was how they became woke and armed all their civilians. They made sure they passed through. I think they invented a form of our NYC. You know, the main aim,
which is military.
Yes. You know, the main aim of NYC is to actually train almost every young civilian combat in case of emergency, whereby you need to fight. You
can protect yourself in the country.
Yes, and it's also applied to every nation. In Germany, name them, they have. I think recently, I don't know, this Tottenham player Son, he went and even served some military years and came back. But bottom line is, this whole Middle East crisis, like I always say, or like I always say, it's always centered on economic. In fact, every war is always economic related. Let me start with that first. Every war. See this even the Russian-Ukraine crisis. When it started, everybody was like, why is Putin invading? Do you know one of the, like in crisis like this, I usually tell people there are 2 causes, the remote causes and the immediate causes. So most times the remote causes, the other person on the receiving end must have been keeping quiet. One of the major issues why you saw that as Trump came into power, you know, he has this kind of fine admiration for Putin. You saw that the world doused down a little bit. You saw that negotiation he was having with Zelensky at the White House, where he was even telling him something like shut up and all that, calm down, we are trying to help you, because he knows that, he knows what is happening. The main cause of that war in Ukraine is because Joe Biden has the biggest oil company in Ukraine, oil and gas company. That was why he wanted to set up a military base there to protect it from Putin.
The investment.
So these are things the Western media won't tell you. So most of all these things, on the surface, they are putting it that, oh, okay, the Iran, you have sent delegates to go and check if they have nuclear facility. You didn't see any, but you're still insisting that they have. And do you know that Netanyahu, he has been in office since, he has served in the military and all that, even in their Mossad and all that, long before now. So It's like grudge that is even doing most of the things he's doing.
How is it grudge?
Now,
Let's face fact.
Yes.
Let's face fact. Historical perspective aside, the movement, the genealogy of the Israeli people aside, whatever old grudges you had belongs in the past. Imagine you sit, you had a misunderstanding with me in the past, and those were sorted out. Whether you were fully satisfied or partially satisfied, but they were in the past. And all of a sudden, I just wake up one day, invade your family house, kill your wife, kill your children, and abduct some and take back.
Based on what transpired in the past.
Based on that past grievances that I feel I was not satisfied with whatever resolve we had, would you not react?
Sometimes, like I said, there might have been some provocations that the other person could be,
but we never saw any provocation
now
prior to the cross action that happened in Israel for the retaliation.
Yes, and I think like this current Iran issue, I've not really dug out some details, but with time I think I will get some facts right, because in international politics most times when things happen immediately, the secrets don't come out immediately. There is something in international politics they call like a black box. Like some things that happened during World War I, World War II is now they are coming to the open. As at that time when there are still very fresh wounds, if they open immediately, it will cause, how do I explain it? It will cause more problem. But now it's maybe a little bit dies, they will bring out some. But the truth is, I think there might have been some provocations too, because there is always provocations, and these two have always been going. Okay, let me give you now an example. I've forgotten, was it Yasser Arafat? I can't really remember. One of the Muslim countries then, their head of state, he wanted peace so badly in the Middle East. Even his own, the radicalists on Islam, they had to eliminate him, assassinate him. I think it should be Yasser Arafat. I can't really remember his name. But bottom line is, even no matter the situation, just like as I used Putin as an example, if these Western people really want peace, and Putin said, see, I want to join your NATO, and they refuse since when Putin came into power up till now.
Don't you think they had a reason for it?
I'm not saying that is the reason, but nobody goes. I just use the Russia-Ukraine crisis as an example, because I've been following that issue like since day one it started. Do you know that Zelensky was brought into power through the CIA? They ousted the president before Zelensky. I can't even remember his name. Obama did that with Hillary Clinton. They had to put Zelensky because oil is there, and Ukraine was part of former USSR.
True.
And one of the treaties they signed during the fall of Berlin and when USSR finally disintegrated was that the US and their Western allies, they won't come in further to colonize or they should leave all the people that were under USSR. If them willingly wants to be democratized, no problem.
Out.
But now the USA are forcing them. See Poland, name them, all those Yugoslavia and all that. There are lots of countries now under USSR. See how they are going there. They are not doing it that they are looking for peace. What will make you in the whole world? You will have over 800 military bases everywhere in the world, if not for control.
But the essence of having military presence is to protect your citizens, and also don't forget the role that
not
the US
in your own
plays.
country.
Hold on. Don't forget the role that the US plays in terms of world peace. Look at the issue in Afghanistan, for instance. Today, Afghan women can no longer go to school. Today, even the female child cannot go to school because the American leadership under President Putin took away the military base. Something that President Trump is saying should be considering taking back. But when you look at world peace, when you look at what America as a world power, as a global power broker stand to benefit or stand to give to the world, let's go back to the issue within the Middle East. Iran has been accused, and historically, if you trace it, including Nigeria, the Boko Haram that we're talking about, the ISIS that we're talking about, the Lakurawas that we're talking about, can all be traced back to one country.
Iran.
One country funding, radicalizing, and if you trace the millions of innocent in Nigeria alone, the number of people that terrorists, Islamic terrorists have killed, all trace back to one administration's wrongdoing. So if you look at those perspectives, you would agree that both the Israeli Prime Minister and President Donald Trump have a stand. If every other person in the world will not react, these people will react.
Yeah.
And this should serve as a deterrent. Because if in their numbers now they don't have nuclear capabilities and they are able to commit this level of atrocities, that in a country like Nigeria, terrorists can kidnap and even show their proceeds on the social media without being tracked.
They were even doing giveaway.
That innocent people are being kidnapped, tortured, and killed on a daily basis. So, regardless of how we want to view it, these presidents are doing the world good at this moment. But just before we round over the conversation, let's listen to the United Nations chief and of course what Benjamin Netanyahu is insisting. And but prior to that, one of the issues that have come out of this is that the Israeli prime minister is killing children. But we forget that even in Nigeria we've seen child soldiers. The last time I nearly wept, we saw children who have been indoctrinated into Islam slaughter human beings as if they were goats. So imagine, I'd like for us to take that video, the video of a child soldier using RPG, attempting to bomb. So a child of 16 years or 14 years is using that, and you say an Israeli soldier facing that child should not fire.
No, definitely. It's the casualty that we just have to face. And concerning you now saying some of all these things are linked back to Iran. Now, let me use Osama bin Laden, that they say they have killed. Till today, nobody saw his body. They say they dumped it in the sea, I think, after they carried it with the aircraft. He could probably be alive, but let me know.
That he was killed during the Obama administration. That was certified.
Now, I want to clarify something. You know Mohammed Gaddafi, that they said late Gaddafi of Libya, that they said, he was a bad person, he was supporting a terrorist group, he was doing all sorts of things. Do you know the plans Gaddafi had for Africa? Gaddafi was one of the persons. The European Union more or less copied our blueprint of operating the European Union. Gaddafi wanted a united Africa, a single currency backed by gold. That was why I told you that this CBN, IMF and all that we are borrowing money from. Okay, they will say they want to help us fight corruption. Let me use as an example. Yet you're borrowing us money. These our corrupt officials are sending this money to accounts that you own. Why don't you reject the money instantly? When you now want to use either of them or one of them as a scapegoat, you now say you're returning the money. From the beginning that they are sending the money, you know that individual, that government, Nigerian government official, you know that he's not doing a business that
to he can such
amount of money. That's why I'm telling you that even, see, things, like I said, in economic, they say things are affected by the things they affect. These things are so intertwined that sometimes when you want to even look at it, you don't know where you want to hold on to. Gaddafi wanted Africa to have their own satellites. We wouldn't have been depending on any of the US satellites in space or any other country's satellites. more or less, internet would have almost been free in the whole of Africa.
Whose fault is it?
They ousted him. The same thing now that you're saying.
But
they accused him that he was...
Wait. But the Africans were also in support of all of this.
Yes, but not everybody. That is why totally I cannot agree with... See, sometimes even when I want to watch news, to tell you to the extent how, let me use the word objective I want to be, I don't even listen to CNN or BBC, except it's a special program that I want to grab one or two things from. Because they are biased. Who wouldn't sell himself and say I'm the good guy?
As an allegation.
It's not an allegation. Okay, now I mentioned Osama. Osama was actually working with them. You are aware?
Working with who?
With the US. They recruited him. They trained him.
But yet he was taken out?
No, just allow me land. Now, there is an extent to which you work and you will now say, oh, Omo, this thing, I don't want to do it. Sometimes we even watch it in the movie. When an agent say, okay, I want out. This thing I'm doing now, I've gotten a conscience. And then they turn you rogue. It's Machiavellian theory. Even politicians everywhere in the world, they use it. Even here in Nigeria, you hire a mercenary to do a dirty job for you. After the mercenary is done doing the dirty job, you hire another mercenary to eliminate that mercenary.
That did the dirty job for you?
Yes. So that your secret or whatever the person has done remains safe.
Okay, so as a way of clarifying, Osama bin Laden was trained in the West.
Yes.
Yes, we can agree to that. But going past that level to him having compromised with the system, or the system being compromised because of his training background, that is an extra thing that we'll have to push aside. But as we end this conversation, let's come back to the main focus, Nigerian foreign policy. How would you propose we move forward at this point? Considering the fact that even the present administration, it took us almost 3 years before we even appointed, foreign ambassadors to represent us across the different countries of the world. And unfortunately, most of these so-called ambassadors are not qualified. They don't have the professional capacity. They don't have the leadership capacity. They don't even have the charisma or the character to even stand. I mean, you mentioned Reno Mokri, for instance.
Yes.
What would somebody of that standing
be doing internationally?
What can he possibly deliver for Nigerians? So how would you propose we go forward from here where we are today?
Well, in order to fully, first of all, I made mention of I think voting here earlier on. Number one, they should try in their possible best involve the diasporans, like in the decision making. Like election is coming now. It won't cost INEC anything. It won't cost the federal government anything to create a portal that they can cast their votes and let it count. Not casting and then you say network is disturbing and all that.
Do you think that is possible within this election when we have just about 4 months?
It's not. See, it's still possible. Oh. The money is there. The billions that they're always calling in our budget is there.
And also, and also the brains.
Yes, exactly. The brains are there, both in the diaspora and here.
And here in Nigeria.
So it's possible.
Remember, they did not do their continuous voter registration. Maybe we'll have to.
Or maybe we can plan towards it.
Yes, for after the 2027,
yes.
the next one. Then another very important thing is they can also sometimes, Nigerians in the diaspora that are doing very well in each sector. You can call, I think, in the Nigerian constitution, is usually the vice president that sets up the economic committee also. Yes. And it was Atiku under Obasanjo that scouted, let me use the word scouted, the likes of Ngozi. You know, they had worked with him before. So, and she was abroad, I think so. They invited her. So there are brains like that, and see the impact she made. So there are lots of brains. Personally, I know a lot of my friends that are like that. And secondly, there are also lots of Nigerians that need support. Nigeria needs to, I don't know how we will do it. I don't know how the president is going to do it with his whole cabinet. But we need to actually reclaim back our big brother status, because we have lost it. Because if we reclaim it under Obasanjo, I don't think there was any African country that could openly just challenge us.
So the ball comes back to us taking back our big brother
role.
Country.
I think that's where we draw the curtains on CEMTV's Dissect This for today. But just before we go, Barrister Christian.
Well, I like to say, people in diaspora, just do your best and also invest in Nigeria, because this is your home. This is your home. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and he's saying if he has all the money he's dreaming of, he wouldn't want to leave the country. So I think Nigeria, if it's a better place, people in diaspora want to come home. And please don't forget, invest in your country. It's very important.
Regardless of the challenges we face, I believe in Nigeria. I believe in all that we potentially can achieve collectively as a people. I believe in you and all that you potentially can become as a Nigerian. And if we all do our individual responsibilities, then we'll build a better society. Our guest today has been Benibo Daolobo, foreign policy and political analyst. Many thanks for joining us on CEMTV's Dissect today.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we give credit to I24 News for some of the visuals that we brought to you this morning. And of course, Fox News for some of the visuals that we had for you this morning. Many thanks for welcoming us into your space. Let's do this again, same time, same station tomorrow. From us to you, it's bye for now.